Hello and welcome everyone to AARP Wyoming's Video Voter Guide Series for 2024. I'm Tom Laycock with AARP Wyoming, and today we're joined by Landon Brown, who's running for the Wyoming Legislature in House District 9 on Cheyenne's east side. AARP has a proud 40-year history of nonpartisan voter engagement and does not endorse or oppose candidates, nor does AARP make contributions to political campaigns or candidates at any level. Instead, we ask questions so our members understand where the candidates stand on important issues and can make their own decisions on Election Day. Today, we'll ask Mr. Brown 3 questions, allowing for a 1-minute and 30-second response to each. Then we'll give him 2 minutes at the end to make his pitch to the voters of House District 9. Mr. Brown, our first question is this. Over the last 2 years, the Wyoming Legislature has made providing property tax relief for its citizens a priority. In your view, what's the most effective way to provide relief while balancing revenue needs for our schools, counties, and other entities that rely on property tax to maintain sustainable funding?
Well, Tom, I appreciate the question. I think it is certainly one of the most pressing questions in the past couple of years that I've served in the legislature. And we're seeing the impact certainly hit the families at home, and particularly those who have been in their homes for a long time and family homes for a long time. And I think probably the most important way that we can provide effective tax relief while balancing this is to provide some level of a homestead exemption that is a little more meaningful than what we currently have. Been looking at some other states across the country, particularly Florida has a really good homestead exemption act. And I think that if we can provide those who are truly Wyomingites and are not just moving here with that supply of, reduced tax burden, I think it will drastically help the people across the state of Wyoming. And then what you do is you balance that with understanding that there is going to be a reduction in the amount of money to these local counties and communities. And we have to make sure that we balance that with a strategic approach to making sure that those entities have everything that they need to provide for the citizens as well. But I do think having a Homestead Exemption Act that does a little more than our current one is the best way forward for us to do.
Our second question for today. Wyoming's population of those aged 60 and over grew by 47% from 2010 to 2020, while the state's entire population grew just 2%. We know 64% of all nursing home beds in Wyoming are paid for right now by the state Medicaid program. What do you see as the greatest barrier to helping our older adults age in the homes and communities? And what solutions would you propose?
Thank you, Tom. Very important question, and something that I've actually been watching over the past 10 years is a phenomenon called the graying of Wyoming. We have a surplus of individuals moving in that are older than 65 and a surplus of individuals that are younger than 65 moving out. And so we've got to balance a way to make sure that we take care of those that are moving into the state. But we also have to make sure that we're attracting new and upcoming families and youngsters into this state. And I think the biggest way for us to do that is to make sure that we're attracting these businesses into the state that are coming in and share those success stories, especially like the ones here in Cheyenne that Leeds and the Chamber of Commerce have worked so hard for. To ensure that we keep people in their homes specifically, I think one of the best things that we can do is continue to work with these businesses that are out there already that provide effective assistance that is non-medical, and work with those companies. And if there's a way that we can assist with those at a state level to assist the burden on these nursing homes, it would be greatly appreciated by the nursing homes as well as the people that would prefer to stay in their homes for a lot longer.
Our third and final question for today. Emergency services are not considered an essential service in Wyoming, and in some areas, ambulance service does not have a sustainable funding source. Over the last 10 years, Wyoming has seen 16 EMS providers in the state fold or consolidate with another service. What solutions would you offer for ensuring access to ambulance services?
Really good question, Tom, and especially with our sparsely populated state, it's something that the legislature has attempted to tackle over the past couple of years, and unfortunately, it has evaded the tackling. One of the opportunities that I do think is probably the best is creating EMS districts where we actually have opened up the doors for these communities that are not available or do not have these services available to them, it allows them to create a small property tax on their constituents to supply these EMS services out there. Unfortunately, nobody has taken the legislature up on that offer. There is no expansion of that program right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the rising property taxes in general. So I think the legislature needs to look at potentially making this an essential service. And maybe the legislature needs to stand this up with some money of our own and recognize that getting people to the emergency room and getting people into the medical care that they need quicker is an essential service for the state of Wyoming. And it's not just our older adults, it's also our children, and it's also the people who are just an average day, 30-plus-year-old male or female. Everybody deserves the right to making sure that we take care of them and they have medical access as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown, for answering our questions. Now I'd like to give you 2 minutes to tell us why you believe you're the best person to represent House District 9.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, Tom, and I appreciate this, and I appreciate the voters of House District 9 trusting me over the past 8 years to support them and to carry their voice forward. And I hope to do the exact same thing for 2 more years as we move into this election cycle. I think the biggest reason that you could cast your vote for me and feel good about it is you can recognize my votes and my proven record on carrying value to this seat. I've been a very effective legislator. I've brought hundreds of millions of dollars into this city for schools in particular. And we've also seen increasing in the road construction to make our streets safer. And that doesn't happen by chance. Those are things that happen when you have an effective legislator who is working hand in hand with local communities, such as our county commission and our mayor and our city council. I believe that it takes a long time to develop those relationships, and I have developed those relationships. And so I think the voters of House District 9 see that, and I think the voters of House District 9 will continue to see and feel the effects of an effective legislator who works their tail off for them and is always available. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I can stress is I am always available. My cell phone is always on, and I'm always available to hear your concerns, questions, and comments about how effective I am for you as a legislator. And Tom, I don't think I need the full additional 30 seconds to let people know that. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the AARP giving voters this information.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate you giving us some time today. And thank you to our viewers for joining in us for this video voters guide. We encourage you to keep checking Cowboy State Daily and AARP Wyoming's Facebook page for more video voter guides in the days to come.